All right, let's see if we can link a couple of things here. All right, let's talk about hedge accounting and foreign exchange. Because we know that foreign exchange is a risk in individual transactions that we may execute. And that may not be a risk that we want to take. And we also know that if we are a organization that has subsidiaries or equity investments with other companies that are either consolidated or otherwise, and those companies' functional currency is something other than the US dollar, we have foreign exchange risk. So we want to look at hedge accounting and we want to look at foreign exchange. And we'll start off with this one, thinking about our different models. And the first model, if you recall, what the three models were. There is hedge, fair value hedge accounting, there's cash flow hedge accounting, and there's hedge of a net investment in a foreign operation. And we're going to go through all of those, thinking about if I use a derivative or if I use an on-balance sheet item. Now, if I'm using a derivative, then we go to the hedge accounting literature in ASC 815. If I'm hedging using an on-balance sheet transaction, then I'm going to go to the literature in ASC 830. Because in ASC 830, if I'm using on-balance sheet transactions, both the foreign exchange exposure, say a transaction, and the on-balance sheet transaction that I'm doing also likely has a foreign exchange exposure. The accounting for both of those is they need to be remeasured to the functional currency. And the remeasurement all goes to the income statement. If we get hedge accounting and it's a fair value hedge, then everything goes to the income statement. If it is a cash flow hedge, say of a anticipated transaction, then that's going to go to OCI. And if it is a derivative on a net investment in a foreign operation, that's also going to go through OCI. The interesting thing here, so if it's a fair value, we'll just kind of put these down. If it's a fair value hedge, we do the hedged item or hedge risk and the hedging instrument both go to the income statement. If it is a cash flow hedge, the hedged risk and the hedging instrument, both of those go to OCI. The interesting thing is, if we are hedging, whether use on balance sheet or derivative, if we are hedging the net investment of a foreign operation, because the net investment, if we think about translating the net investment, we don't remeasure the net investment, we are translating the net investment. That translation goes to OCI. Whether I use on balance sheet or off balance sheet, for the hedging transaction, the hedging instrument, whether it's an on balance sheet hedging instrument or a derivative, that's also going to go to OCI. So we'll go through and try to do some examples. We're going to go through and do some examples of each of these types of instruments in derivative accounting, and also just kind of remind ourselves that when we're doing it here for on balance sheet stuff, everything's going through the income statement because everything has to be remeasured into the income statement. The difference is in on balance sheet or off balance sheet, based on my reading of the literature, it looks like everything goes to OCI because it's a translation, because we are translating the net investment in the foreign operation from their functional currency to whatever the reporting currency is.